Hi, welcome. My name is Ebony. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I am today going to be talking about just like a 2021 brief overview recap and what I'm using to then, I guess, establish my reading goals for 2022, as well as some anticipated reads. It will be a mix of new releases slash books I have on my shelves that I've been wanting to get to but just didn't really get to in 2021. So if you would like to see that, you can just keep on watching. I really hope that you are taking it slow in the new year. I feel like the new year can feel like a time where you have to accomplish so much, which there's nothing wrong with setting goals and accomplishing said goals, but I just want to remind you that there's no pressure. You can work on one aspect or area of your life that you would like to improve on. Take it day by day. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So just thought I'd say that for the new year. So speaking of that, I would like to talk to you now about my reading goals. So in 2021, I read a total of 55 books, which was 11,000 roughly pages read. And quite frankly, I want to maintain that goal for 2022. I set my goal to read 50 books this year. I plan to read a book a week. That does include poetry collections, short story collections, and fiction, nonfiction. I've really broadened my horizons in 2021, and I want to continue to doing that in 2022. But specifically for 2022, I would love to read literature that isn't American. I really want to read more translated literature, and you'll see quite a bit of that on my 2022 TBR / anticipated reads list. Okay, so next I'm going to talk to you about my 2022 anticipated reads. These are either new releases. I have a few new releases on my list, but mainly just books that I've already have on my shelves that I haven't gotten to, that I've been meaning to. And yeah, let's get started. I'll first start off with a book that I began this year already, and that's Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. And essentially this follows two main characters, one man who is getting his PhD, a doctoral candidate in theoretical mathematics, and a woman who works as a volunteer tour guide in art museums. And basically their impending interaction, love at first sight or love story, begins to ravel throughout Alone with You in the Ether. I've been reading it. So far the writing is very interesting because it is very cyclical, and there is a lot of mention of mathematics and universal occurrences, universal phenomena, laws of physics, things of that nature, which is honestly right up my league, but it is very big brain energy. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not that far in it at all, but I know that it is supposed to be a love story involving two individuals who are also struggling with mental health and finding their way in the world. It feels like a coming of age story as well. I'll be sharing my further thoughts in a reading vlog coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. The next book I would love to read is actually a poetry collection, and it has been my most anticipated read of my lifetime, honestly, and that is Time as a Mother by Ocean Vuong. This is releasing a little later this year, and it is Ocean Vuong's poetry collection in which he talks about or muses on the loss of his mother, grief. I'm sure many of the themes that we've seen, or if you've read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous and Night Sky with Exit Wounds. And if you're a viewer of mine, you know I do not shut up about these books. Yeah, I'm just really excited. You know it's at the top of my list for sure. Up next I have Pure Color, and this is by Sheila Haiti. And what has piqued my interest for this book, which is actually releasing on February 14th, I think, of this year, is the fact that I've been seeing it everywhere, and I think the cover is stunning, as well as the synopsis. Actually should read it to you now. Pure Color is a galaxy of a novel, explosive, celestially bright, huge, and streaked with beauty. It is a contemporary Bible, an atlas of feeling, and an absurdly funny guide to the great and terrible things about being alive. Sheila Heti is a philosopher of modern experience, and she has reimagined what a book can hold. Sounds phenomenal, sounds right up my alley. I tend to really enjoy books that take these philosophical questions surrounding life and further fleshes them out, or just gives whatever new insight or new vantage point to view these topics on. So I'm so excited. I was so tempted to pre-order this, but I didn't. I'm just waiting. So, and of course, I want to get into reading more Joan Didion this year in 2022. Basically whatever book I could get my hands on, specifically The Year of Magical Thinking. I know that book is going to wreck me. It is Joan Didion's account of losing her husband. I know the writing is just going to be devastatingly beautiful, as it was in Play It As It Lays. I would also love to get into Joan Didion's like journalist essay writing more, so I plan to do that. I already own the White Album, and let me tell you what I mean. So I really just want to delve more into Joan Didion's work. I just have been obsessed with her, honestly. I've been watching interviews. I still have to watch her documentary, but I just really appreciate her viewpoint on writing as a craft and being an observer, which she states that she is, and she feels as though she can understand things better through observation and translating that into a work of literature, which is just so stunning and something that I think a lot of my other favorite writers incorporate, and something that is inspiring to me as a budding writer. So next up, I'm going to mention some books that I hauled in my New York City vlog. I'm sure if you watched that, you saw it already, but here they are. I have The House Guests, stunning cover. I love it. Also Weather by Jenny Ophil and Blueberries by Elena Savage. I thought that I might get to them in December, but then I didn't really feel like reading anymore at that point towards the end of the year, so I just figured I'll save them for this year. It's only January. I have literally 12 months to get into these bad boys, but I'm sure I will do it very, very soon. I'm so excited. And next, I have an author who I've been slowly reading their entire discography, just because I think that their writing is so interesting, so grotesque, so unlike anything I've ever read, and I think that they write young women, especially, or women in general, very well. And that is no other than My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. Yes, I'm actually really, really excited for this one. Eileen, I read last year, and I'm not gonna lie, I really, really loved it. It's not like one of my favorites of the year that I read, but it definitely ranks like in the 3.5, 4-star range for me. And I'm excited about this specifically because it's centered in New York City, and there's just something about New York City that I really, really love. And I'm honestly resonating a lot with the main character. I'm sure you've seen this everywhere, but essentially it's an unnamed narrator who is a privileged young woman living in New York City who goes to her therapist and decides that she wants to use drugs and other things to induce sleep, basically, for a year, so she doesn't have to live through life. I think Ottessa Moshfegh's writing would be very, very interesting, and I also know that they're adapting this, as well as Eileen, into a movie. I'm not sure if they're coming out soon. I have to read the books before I watch the movie, or else the movies ruin the books for me. I don't know, I'm weird like that. I just like imagining the characters in my head the way I want to, and then judging and critiquing the castings to see if they actually fit the characters I imagine. Up next, I have Assembly by Natasha Brown. I've seen this floating around quite a bit on the book, in the book universe, booktube, book talk, Bookstagram, everything. And as I was saying, I'm trying to broaden my horizons and read more authors that aren't American, essentially. And I believe that Natasha Brown is British. So it says, this is a come of age in the credit crunch, be civil in a hostile environment, go to college, get an education, start a career, do all the right things, buy an apartment, buy art, buy a sort of happiness, but above all, keep your head down, keep quiet, and keep going. The narrator of Assembly is a Black British woman. She is preparing to attend a lavish garden party at her boyfriend's family's estate, set deep in the English countryside. At the same time, she is considering the carefully assembled pieces of herself. Then goes on, as the minutes tick down and the future beckons, she can't escape the question, is it time to take it all apart? And wow, That sounds very, very interesting. I can't wait to read it, obviously. I actually did order this because I'm planning to do a video surrounding Black literature for Black History Month. So be on the lookout for that as well. And I'm sure you'll hear my thoughts in that video. Up next, I have The White Book, and I have a feeling that this is going to be very similar to Bluets by Maggie Nelson, which is one of my favorite books of all time. But just basically Hans musings on the color white and grief and loss and heartbreak, which is very interesting because white is typically seen as a color of like heavenly bliss. And then also I would love to read Norwegian Wood. I wanted to read this in 2021, but I wasn't in the mood to read it. I didn't really gravitate towards it. So I still have this on my list for 2022. I've heard very mixed things about it, but I feel as though it'll be a book that I like despite everything. And essentially this centers around two college students growing up in Tokyo, or going to school in Tokyo, and basically their relationship, falling in love, coming of age story. I would also love to read Jesus Christ. I would also love to read Mona, and this is also another book that seems to be somewhat grungy, unconventional character who is an aspiring author and writer, and her navigating the literary world, essentially. So that's about it for my anticipated year TBR, just very loose, nebulous bubble of books that I would love to read this year. I am very much a mood reader, so fingers crossed. But lately I've really been craving reading some more uplifting, warm-hearted stories because seasonal depression is kicking my ass, and I typically read books centered on young women, specifically dealing with mental health and living in cities and trying to be an artist because, you know, I relate to that. And I would love to broaden my horizons, as I was saying before, just read more authors that are not focused or centered on an American experience. And yeah, just have fun reading. That's the most important thing. Once again, I just want to thank you. I'm very excited for 2022, and I really appreciate all the warmth and support that you all give to me on my videos. It means the world to me that I can be a part of your day whenever you watch them, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.
I was like, yo.